I'm Wilma May. I've been doing children's ministry more than I ever cared to count. My grandmother was a children's ministry person. My mother was. I am, and what is really interesting is my daughter went off to college this fall, and I was just praying that she would just find somebody's church on Saturday morning to go to. I mean, that's like, you just hope and pray that your kids do right. And she found this church in Shreveport, this little church, and I thought, she's not going to go to that church. She's not going to go. And she told me, she says, there's so many kids. There's no pianists, there's no teachers. And she said, I'm going to do that. That's my ministry. Wow. And so every Sabbath, my daughter is continuing what I hoped that she would do. She was supposed to be here today to play special music. She couldn't because she's a violinist, as most of you, or some of you know, and she is somewhere with Dr. Virginia Jewelry House. I think they're getting ready to go to Iceland. I'm not sure where she is, but she's somewhere, and she couldn't be here this morning. But anyway, we've been doing this for a while, and I always count myself as the luckiest person in the whole church because this is the job that I love to do. No one has to ask me to do it. I do it because I get a blessing every week from working with these children. I'm an attorney, and when I deal with people during the week that are on the harder side of life, I come in here on Sabbath morning, and for the 1 hour that I'm with my children, I really do see the innocence of life, and I really do enjoy the blessing that I get from it. So, how did Grandparents' Day come about? My daughter, at her school one year, I was in charge of their Grandparents' Day. And I watched the little kids, they learned their part. They were doing something about Thanksgiving. And they told the story of Thanksgiving, and they dressed up as pilgrims and all of that wonderful stuff. And I'm sitting there thinking, now how can I take this back to Sabbath school? And so I thought, we don't do 13 Sabbath programs anymore. Maybe I could take the old spin-off of 13 Sabbath and combine it with a program, make it Grandparents' Day. Well, we tried it, and it worked. And we've been doing this for the last 7 years. So, those of you who are here to see your grandkids perform, I know you are because you've got all kinds of cameras out. I just see flashes everywhere. That's one of the beauty of being a grandparent, I would imagine. But today we're going to perform for you. We're going to do what those of you who remember what 13 Sabbath used to be, a little bit of that. We do our memory verses. We do what we learn. You'll find, as you could probably look around the room, we've been studying about the human body, and you know, a lot of people say, well, that's kind of advanced for children, but you know, my thing is, every step of the way we have to arm our children with not just things, verses from the Bible. We have to equip them to deal with life. There was a time in life when most of us grew up and we worked for the church. Well, it's not like that anymore. Our kids are out in the world, they're engineers, they're doctors, they're lawyers, and they better know what they believe and in whom they believe. Because if they come across some scientists who could tell them about the theory of evolution and they are dumbfounded, we have failed them. They need to know how they were created, whose hands created them, and who they are as Christians. And they need to know how to refute any theory out there. And so, my little part is to start them in kindergarten. They tell me that age 5 and 6 is the best years to get kids to learn. And it's interesting because you know that's when the terrorists recruit, the people out in the Middle East, the Al-Qaeda folks, that's when they recruit, age 5 and 6. And if they could do that, what are we doing on the other side, you know? I just think it's a challenge, but again, I love it. I welcome each one of you, and we'll begin with prayer.